Hey guys, this is Justin at the Survivor Review. Today we'll be talking about episode 8 for season 2 of Ash vs. Evil Dead, titled Ashy Slashy. Damn. A lot goes down in this episode. Some of it funny, some of it cool and exciting and suspenseful, and some of it's pretty emotional and sad. I'll get to that stuff a little bit later. But to start, this episode begins with Ruby, Pablo, and Kelly going to the insane asylum to find Ash, since he was taken there by Baal. So some of the stuff in the asylum from last week's episode was real. Of course, all the inmates and all that stuff of him being there for 30 years, none of that was real. But then the ending scene with Linda going to talk to Ash actually did happen. That was actually Linda doing that because Baal had her daughter, Lacey, captured and promised that he would give her back to her if he did this for her. So that was surprising. I thought that ending was all in his head, just like the entire episode was. I didn't think that ending was real, but it was. And the first half of this episode starts off kind of clunky, in my opinion. I don't know, I didn't think it was that great. Some of the stuff just wasn't working for me. You had the sheriff is back. He's in the hospital there, also trying to get his daughter back. And then we see his daughter. It turns out that she's a deadite. And of course, in cliched fashion, she acts like her normal self, cries, and convinces her dad to come to her, and she kills him. She rips his head off. Really cool scene. But yeah, that part I wasn't really into too much, just because I wasn't too emotionally invested with the sheriff, because he's been a jerk this whole time, and it was just very cliched, and you see it coming, so it's kind of like, thought there could have been more done with that. Then after that, Kelly fights off Lacey as the Deadite and ends up killing her. And that scene again was fine. I didn't think it was anything too special. But after that is where the episode picks up and just never stops. And it's very just entertaining, very thrilling, and even suspenseful. Because it's basically a slasher movie with Ash as the villain. Because Ash is evil. He's under Baal's spell. And it's basically Ash stalking our main characters as they're walking through this abandoned insane asylum, just through all these corridors and everything, just like a slasher movie. And you got moments where you just see Ash's shadow in the background. Or Ash is walking and he just puts his chainsaw against the wall and scratches as he keeps walking. And all that stuff I loved. Seeing Ash as a villain, as a slasher villain, was awesome. And Bruce Campbell just pulls that off, just looking stone cold, just serious, and it's just awesome. I love how Ash looks in here too. It's not just his typical blue outfits, it's actually just the rags and stuff from the mental hospital. So it's his straitjacket and everything, which looks so cool. And you have that amazing shot that, sure, when you think about it, doesn't really make any sense and doesn't go anywhere, but it looks awesome, where Ash pours gasoline on the floor, lights it on fire with his chainsaw, and you see his shot, just Ash just standing there among the flames. And it looks so badass, and it looks so friggin' cool. So all that stuff is great. You have him chasing Pablo, because he wants to get to Pablo, because Pablo is basically the book now, and he wants to destroy the book, which means destroying Pablo. So you have Pablo and Ruby together, working together, trying to find Ash, and then Kelly is on her own, trying to find Ash. And she comes across the Ashy Slashy puppets, which leads to an hilarious scene. I love how she, of course, finds him adorable, just because how can you not? That guy's hilarious. And then, all of a sudden, it pops up on her hand, and they have this big fight scene together, and that actress is really good at physical comedy. Because there's a lot of great Evil Dead 2 style physical comedy, like with the evil hand just throwing her around. She has the puppet just basically throwing her around, and that stuff was hilarious, and I love that scene. That scene between them in the room was just so well done and just so entertaining and funny. Again, the Ashy Slashy puppet is a standout of this season, or of this entire show, actually. And only Evil Dead could make a fight scene between a person and a puppet actually effective. Because in any other thing, that would be the stupidest, dumbest thing ever. But, of course, in the world of Evil Dead, where anything can happen, any crazy thing can happen, this makes sense. A grown woman fighting with a puppet. It works. It's hilarious. And then we have the stuff with Ruby and Pablo, which is funny, just because Ruby is just so deadpan serious. Doesn't take anything lightly, doesn't try to calm people down. She just goes to Pablo, we'll get you to Baal, we'll save the passage, get rid of him. Just saying though, you will probably die, there's a chance of that, but you know what, either way, we'll save the day. Then at the end of the episode, Ash grabs Pablo, takes him to his room, ties him up, and everything converges here. Kelly and Linda get there, Ruby gets there, and then Baal appears there. We all think that Ash is gonna kill Pablo because he's evil. Turns out, Ash cuts Pablo loose and reveals that this was his plan all along and he hasn't been evil this entire time. He was just playing ball. And that was such an awesome reveal. It just shows that Ash is a little bit smarter than you think. He's not the complete idiot that he's made out to be this entire time. And I thought that was just awesome. I thought that was so cool. Especially because it's a callback to a scene earlier in the season where Ash comes up with the idea to have this pet tracker to shove it up Ball's ass so they can track him. Well, it turns out they use that on him, and they can track him to the asylum where he planned to get caught by Baal, and he can get Pablo and Baal in the same room, which is awesome. I love that reveal. So they grab Baal, pin him down. Pablo does his thing, rips off his shirt, takes off the amulet that was keeping the book at bay, says his big thing. All this crazy shit happens, like glass breaks, everything's going crazy, and they defeat Baal. And the scene was cool as well. That I like how he was sticking his fingers in Baal's eyes, and you can see like the passages from the book writing off of Pablo's fingers into Baal. I thought that was a really cool effect. My only kind of problem with that is the fact that Baal did get taken out pretty easily. I just think Baal isn't as amazing of a villain as they built him up to be in the earlier half of the season. I do like him. Granted, I had issues with him when I first saw him, but he grew on me, and I think he's a good villain. But the fact that they defeated him like that, it wasn't this huge thing, it was kind of small scale, was kind of underwhelming for what he was built up to be. Either way, they defeat him, he explodes, all is good, right? No, of course not, because we reveal that he must have gotten a couple good slashes there, because after he disappears, Pablo falls in half and dies. Oh, it's so sad. Just to see him just like split apart. It's just, damn. I don't want Pablo to die. Like he's such an awesome character, and like and it ends right there. Nothing else. Just holy crap. We've had a lot of people die this season, and you know, it sucked when his dad died earlier on, but nothing is as bad as Pablo dying. I have a feeling Pablo won't stay dead for too long. I don't think this is going to be a permanent death. But as is, it was still emotional and just something I did not want to see. I did not want to see the top half of Pablo lying on the ground with his guts hanging out. Overall, I really liked this episode. It was really good. I thought the beginning started out clunky and wasn't that exciting. But once we take care of the sheriff and his daughter, the episode just kicks it into gear. I love all the scenes of them in the hallways and the corridors just hiding from Ash, from evil Ash. I thought it was very well done, very suspenseful, very creepy. And then of course the great reveal that this whole thing was Ash's plan the entire time. Just smart. I really liked that. I enjoyed that. And then the gut-wrenching death of Pablo. I really liked this episode. I thought it was a great one. I can't wait to see where they go with it next, since kind of the plot line of the season's kind of done, basically, because they've defeated Baal. So everything's all good, right? I mean, aside from Pablo being dead. So it's like, where are they going to next? I saw the preview for next week's, and it involves them going back to the cabin. So I'm wondering how that plays into it. I'm really interested to see how these last two episodes play out, since our major storyline's pretty much done already. So that I'm excited for. Just overall, awesome episode. A lot of great, memorable imagery in this episode that I thought will stand out as time goes on for Evil Dead fans. Especially that badass shot of just Ash standing among the fire. Just looked great. So yeah, that's episode 8 of Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2. That's about it for now. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.